Hi, TikTok. My name is not Tiff Smith 02. Then again, Tiff Smith 02's name is also not Tiff Smith 02. There's apparently a real person behind that account. It's just not me. My name is Anna. I am a freelance writer. I am a psychotherapist, and I am in the last year of becoming a licensed clinical social worker. It took me, I'm not on TikTok much, so it took me days to find out that this was happening until a lot of people reached out saying, hey, somebody is using your picture with a profile to do terrible things. And then, I tried to see if I could get the picture removed from the comment, just so that my face isn't associated with this thing that's doing so much harm. And I felt like leaving the comment out there is actually really important because someone really did say that. But it sounds like it's impossible to separate the two, and it's impossible to remove it, so it's just going to keep circulating and doing harm. And like I said, I hate that my face is associated with that. But because I'm platformed against my will, I thought, you know what? I'll come on here and I will speak to white people. I have this opportunity, and I thought, let's do that. A lot of young white people on TikTok, and also, like, I'm speaking to people who have said, white people who've said for a long time, like, oh, I don't want to get involved with it. I don't want to get involved with it. And just wanted to say, like, that's a group of people that they're living their lives like, oh, I'm a benevolent white person. I'm like, I'm not racist in my personal life. I'm living that. I don't have to, like, engage with policies or systems of oppression or anything like that in order to be a good white person. And it's just not true. It's just not true. If you're not involved with dismantling the systems of inequity that make something like what this video is in response to possible, you're definitely greasing the skids. So I wanted to talk about this as an example of something. This recent, the post and the fake account and stuff is a perfect example of the banality of evil, the everydayness of evil. Like that somebody could, put that post out there, and then people of color would log into TikTok and be here to, like, check in on their friends or, like, post their own content, and instead be confronted with 500 years of brutality. And not like History Channel, distant brutality, but brutality in their family, in their ancestry. They carry that around in their blood. And that's like I said, this is an example, this post is an example of something that would be considered, it's here, it's deleted, it's specious, who knows what's attached to, maybe a fake account, maybe not, whatever. A microaggression, which doesn't seem very micro to me. But look at other things that are happening right now, like the fact that all the largest corporations, almost all the largest corporations in the United States, just disbanded and fired all of their diversity, equity, and inclusion departments, their DEI departments. DEI is charged with protecting marginalized groups. And if you're out listening to this and you know what those two words mean individually, but you don't know what they mean together, look it up. Figure out, familiarize yourself with what they are and who's in them. A DEI example of a policy they might have would be, like, for example, let's say two people with the same education, the same qualifications, the same experience apply for the same job in the same company. They're both hired to do the same job, and DEI initiatives make it so that one of them isn't paid more than the other one because they have different colored skin, which is a real thing that happens. Case in point, African American women right now, today, make 63 cents on every white male American dollar. People of color are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in childbirth than white people. People of color have shorter lifespans than white people. This is, We share 99.99 something percent of our DNA. This isn't a genetic thing. This is an artifact of systems of injustice, inequity, and disprivilege that make access to healthcare unequal, that make access to healthy food unequal. Redlining, for example, creating isolated neighborhoods that are distant from access to good food. And I will link an excellent redlining documentary in my bio. I hope that's how that works. About redlining, which basically interrupted the transmission of generational wealth. So like, you work hard to save up enough money to buy a house, which presently seems like an absolute lark, a pipe dream because they're so expensive compared to average income. But let's say you scrape it together, you buy a house and you pay that house off throughout your whole life and your career. You want to be able to pass it on to your kids so they can sell it and have that big lump of money to start a business, get their own new house, maybe both things, depending on where things are at. Redlining made that impossible, specifically for Black people. So, if this is a 100-yard dash, white people got 75 yards out before people of color were ever allowed off of the starting line. It's important stuff for us to know, because that's the kind of thing that makes what happened here possible, so that some racist jerk can go and grab a picture of some random white lady off the internet and throw a fake name on it, and then go out and make hateful, bile-filled, vitriolic comments on TikTok, and people will log in and see them, read them, and then have to carry that hatred inside of them for the rest of their lives, knowing that someone out there wants to harm them, their children, their families. And that is so wrong. I also really want to thank several people, 2 women in particular, that God's Joy and Ray, who took it upon themselves. They were investigating to figure out, who that picture was, who the Tiff Smith 02 account was. They set out to figure who that person was out to share with their communities. They certainly didn't set out to vindicate me, and they had zero obligation to do anything like that. But upon finding out in their research that I wasn't that the person in the picture wasn't the person posting the comments, i.e. my picture had been stolen, they both set out to demonstrate that to their followers. And they could have left it where it was, and I appreciate that so much. Really, really incredible. And again, something they didn't owe anybody that. So that's it. I hope if I've made any mistakes, like if my data is wrong or people want to add in here or talk about it, please add stuff in the comments and make this richer for all of the other white people that are reading. That's it.